Hello again, everybody. It's time for another Marriott, Edgar, Stanley, Holloway monologue. This is one of the less well-known ones. It's called the Runcorn Ferry, and it reintroduces us to our old friends Mr. and Mrs. Ramsbottom and young Albert, their son. It's done with apologies to any erstwhile residents of Runcorn or Widnes, because it's not very polite about either of them. Anyway, this is it. It's called the Runcorn Ferry, with an interesting subtitle of Per Tuppence, Per Person, Per Trip. So here we go. On the banks of the Mersey, or on Cheshire side, lies Runcorn, that's best known to fame by transporter bridge as takes folks over the stream, or else brings them back across same. In the days afore transporter bridge were put up, a ferry boat lay in the slip, and old Ted the boatman would row folks across at per tuppence per person per trip. Now Runcorn lay over one side of the stream, and Widnes on t'other side stood, and as nobody wanted to go to either place, well, the trade wasn't any too good. Till one evening, to Ted's superlative surprise, 3 customers came into view. A Mr. and Mrs. Ramsbottom it were, and Albert, their little son, too. "How much for the 3?" Mr. Ramsbottom asked, as his hand to his pocket did dip. Ted said, "Same for 3 as it would be for 1, per tuppence, per person, per trip." "You're not charging 2pence for that little lad," said Mother, her eyes flashing wild. "Per tuppence, per person, per trip," answered Ted. "Per woman, per man, and per child." "5pence for 3, that's the most that I'll pay," said Father. "Don't waste time in talk." "Per tuppence, per person, per trip," answered Ted. "And them as won't pay has to walk." "We can walk and all," said Father. "Come, Mother, it's none so deep, weather's quite mild." So into the water the 3 of them stepped, the father, the mother, the child. The further they paddled, the deeper it got, but they wouldn't give in once begun. In the spirit that's made Lancashire what she is, they'd sooner be drowned than done. Very soon the old people were up to their necks, and the little lad clean out of sight. Said Father, "Where's Albert?" And Mother replied, "I've got hold of his hand, he's all right." Well, just at that moment, Pa got an idea, and floundering back to old Ted, he said, "We've walked halfway. Come, tack us the rest for half price. That's a penny a head." But Ted wasn't standing for none of that there, and making an obstinate lip, "Per tuppence, per person, per trip," Ted replied. "Per trip, or per part of a trip." "All right then," said Father, "let me tack the boat and I'll pick the others up halfway. I'll row them across and I'll bring the boat back, and 3pence in bargain I'll pay." Well, 'twere money for nothing. Ted answered, "Right-o." And Father got hold of the sculls. With the sharp end of the boat towards middle at stream, he were there in a couple of pulls. He got Mother out. It were rather a job. With the water she weighed 1/2 a ton. Then pushing the oar down the side of the boat, started fishing around for his son. When poor little Albert came up to the top, his collar was soggy and limp, and with holding his breath at the bottom so long, his face were as red as a shrimp. Pa took them across, and he brought the boat back, and he said to old Ted on the slip, "Wilt row me across by mysen?" Ted said, "Aye, per tuppence, per person, per trip." When they got to the side, Father laughed fit to bust. He'd got best of the bargain, you see. He'd worked it all out, and he'd got his own way. And he'd paid nobbut 5pence for 3.